Okay, so I'm here with Karen, who is a client of mine that I worked with, I think over 2 years ago now. So we're getting together to have a bit of a catch up and to hear a bit about Karen's experience of coaching, but also what she's gone on to do with it since then. So Karen, let's start. Can you introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us a bit about yourself and I think really focusing on what you felt stuck with, anything that you felt an area of your life or what you felt stuck with when you came to coaching.
Yeah. So I came to coaching when I was feeling really stuck with work. I was feeling really undervalued. I felt like my contributions weren't really recognized. I felt quite down in the dumps, I guess, about work. Yeah, so that's what I was stuck with. And to be honest, I think I was hoping that you could just fix that and find me another job.
Right. Yeah, so that's
That
interesting
wasn't
to
what
think
happened.
about. Yeah, what you wanted to get out of the coaching wasn't necessarily what you got.
No.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about then what actually happened through the coaching and
So
what shifted.
yeah, so through the coaching, so as I said, I started off feeling really unhappy, I think, and feeling really, really unvalued. And I think feeling like I had zero power over the situation. Like none of it was in my control. It was just other people. I had no control over. And that's how I felt at the start of coaching, which is why I thought, oh, maybe this will just help me find another job where I do feel valued. And so much shifted through that coaching because regardless of what other people thought of me, I think through the coaching journey, what I found was that what I found, it's not like I found it actually, Sarah, you helped me find it. Um,
You
what I
definitely have.
realized was that actually all those thoughts I had about other people and whether or not they valued me were just thoughts. And that
Mm,
actually, the more I paid attention to those, the more I was kind of making that situation happen. And I remember finding that really challenging to accept, actually. And
yeah.
I'm not sure I would have accepted that from many people. But you did it in such a nice way, you just really gently challenged that. And and I started to realize actually that those thoughts that I kept on repeat about nobody values me, nobody's seeing what I could do. And you just made me realize that actually I those thoughts were informing my actions. So I acted like somebody who had nothing to offer. So I didn't speak up, I didn't share any ideas. And no wonder people gave me the impression they didn't think I had anything to offer because I just got caught in this loop. And I really didn't think, I didn't realize I was caught in a loop and I didn't realize that it could be any different. And
Mm.
after quite a firm nudge, I think, from you to make me realize what was going on with the thoughts I was having and how it showed up in how I was acting, then I remember you're like, do you think you could think a different thought? Do you think you could just try to break that pattern a little bit? And I thought that was quite a big ask. um, but I gave it a go. I gave it a go. And do you know what? Things started shifting. And I don't know whether other people's opinions of me changed at all. But I guess what shifted was that I found a bit of agency. I found a bit of power of my own, that there were things that I could do that actually a lot of it was in my control, which is what I really not understood at the beginning, that I had the power to control some of this stuff and to change it and for it to be different. So yeah, that was the big learning for me.
Amazing, isn't it? Yeah, it's this the bit that I always forget is the most powerful thing because it sort of happens at the beginning and it's the basis of mindset coaching is that we like our thoughts aren't actually facts. We don't have to believe them, and that is a challenging thing to hear. And it's a challenging thing to get your head around because I always think like if we think something, we automatically think it's true because why would we think it if it wasn't true? Like it was just we're thinking it and therefore it's true. And just challenging that assumption that like, well, what if it is just something that you're thinking? and that it isn't just a fact of the universe. And you might actually think something else, which might get you a different result.
Mm.
Like it all comes down to that.
Because when I was having those like same thoughts on repeat, I would like really cleverly find evidence for them
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yes.
Like I would be picking up evidence to confirm that every opportunity I got and
Mm.
ignoring anything that contradicted those thoughts.
Yes. So that's the confirmation bias function of the brain, which is it's part of how the brain is efficient. And it's really unhelpful when you're thinking something that's that's an unhelpful thought, because it just means that the brain proves it to you over and over again. But it's also something that we can use when we're developing new thinking, like actively looking for evidence and believing something else. So just tell me a little bit about that. Like what thoughts did you start to think, and how did that change your behavior? Like what sort of changed in the short term there?
So I started to, I started to remember times when it had been different. So times when actually I had, shared ideas and been times when I felt valued and what I was doing at those times. So, sharing ideas, doing stuff, just being more proactive, really. And the more I did those things, the more confirmation I guess I found of different thoughts. Actually, I was quite capable. And I think I just stopped focusing so much on whether or not other people, what other people had to think about me, because that's their business, really, isn't it? What they think about me. I became much more focused on what could I do? What could I do to make this situation a better situation or a good situation? What can I do so that I get what I want out of it? So I think I just over the course of time just stopped thinking so much about other people's thoughts.
Yes, yes, it's not about changing the thoughts we think other people are thinking. It's about changing our own. And
Yeah.
yeah, real focus on like what am I capable of, what's in my control. And so what do you think sort of tangibly changed around you at that time? Like you started to show up a little bit differently,
Definitely.
a
Yes.
bit more
Just,
about what happened.
yeah. So I think I just started to be a bit more proactive about things, a bit more confident in the way I did some of those things, but definitely showing up differently, a bit bolder, because I think I wasn't as concerned with what other people thought or what parameters other people thought I should work within or what boxes anybody wanted to put me in. I just did what I thought would be a good thing to do. So, yeah, a bit bolder, a bit more confident, and I guess every time, like I proved it to myself that it was working, um, gave me a bit more of a push. So that kind of I think that grew over time. Like I wouldn't say it was easy or that it was magically straightforward. There are definitely ups and downs in the road,
Hmm. Yes, yeah,
definitely.
absolutely.
But I
Yes.
think what really stayed was that kind of just a bit more inner confidence, a, reminding that kind of reminiscence of times when it had been really different that I could
Mm.
draw on and I could remember those how I felt back then when it felt different and bringing that into kind of current life. So that really shifted.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that I think I was just a bit happier, to be honest, Sarah. A bit happier, which is nice, isn't it?
That is very
And
nice. Yeah.
so I think with just being a bit happier, I don't know whether it's that thing that, if somebody talks about a yellow car, you'll see them everywhere. But because I was a bit happier, I think things just seemed to find me.
Mm.
You know, just opportunities seem to become more available. And I think it's just because I noticed them more or I asked for them more, but just various things happened. And I just thought, do you know what? I'd have missed this a
Yeah.
couple of years ago. Or I
Yeah.
wouldn't have entered, or I wouldn't have asked, or, it just wouldn't have happened. So,
Mm.
all sorts of things. Yeah.
Oh, I'm dying to know more about all of that. So it's so interesting, isn't it? It's the brain will just it will want to focus on, well, what's not working, what's not going
Yeah.
well. And that shift to like, well, let's think about when things did work, and what's in my control, and what if things were going well, then yeah, a lot can come from that. So tell me a little bit. I mean, it's been a while, so I'm sure there's we haven't got time. I'm really grateful for you to take the time. I don't need to spend all day telling me about the whole of the last 2.5 years, but tell me, what do you think, what have you achieved? What might you highlight that shift in your thinking has contributed to over the longer term?
So I suppose the first thing to say is that it didn't end up with a new job. And I'm really happy about that.
Amazing.
Because actually it wasn't the issue. Well, I mean, it might have partly been the job, but it was also just my thoughts around it and my behaviors and the kind of the position I'd got myself into, which, was around like my thoughts, might have also been around the people around me. I don't know. But I guess so now I'm still in the same organization. So almost still in the same job, but my role has changed a bit um, because of some of the actions I've taken because of coaching. So that my role has changed because I've just piped up more often. I said, you know what, I think I could do this, or I've just gone and done it. And thankfully I work somewhere that they don't mind that.
Amazing.
Yeah, so my job has grown, it's changed, it's developed. It's now much more of a job that I enjoy doing because of the content of the work that I do now. It's work that I just enjoy much more. But also, just I feel really valued, I feel really recognised, and all of that has come out really of me showing up differently because of
Amazing.
the coaching. So yeah, so in terms of work, it's been really positive. And the Karen that you first met, that was probably having a few tears, like I hate it,
Yeah.
is now really happy at work. So that's been a massive change.
I'm so pleased to hear that.
Thank you. And I think just in general, that kind of that happiness, that kind of knowing that I'm not that every thought I have is not necessarily true, whether that's about me or whether that's about other people, has been like it's a work in progress, but it's been really useful. So like when I get, if I get fixated on thoughts about a particular person, so if I'm like, oh, the person in this relationship is really annoying me, like people do annoy me sometimes, that's normal, but
Yeah.
instead of kind of
Human.
fixing on this is all that they are, I think I've become much better at going, yes, they are annoying me, and yes, I think these thoughts about them, but I also have all these other things that I know about them. So I think in terms of relationships, it's been really useful. I'm not the expert. You know, I'm not 100% brilliant at this, but getting better. It's really useful to have some of some of that learning from coaching in
Mm.
relationships.
Yeah, because once you know that your thoughts aren't
Yeah,
necessarily facts and that you can challenge them, like there's no limit to the areas that you can apply that to. And we focus mainly on your career, but and that was my experience as well with coaching, is that then you can just take it and apply it
yeah.
everywhere. So I'm really
I
glad.
sort of knew that. I knew that theoretically before coaching. Like I probably said it to people, but I
Yeah.
think it was only when, you know, I unpacked that with a really big issue that really meant a lot to me, that I went through that whole process of, it was hard, it was challenging. It
Yeah.
definitely felt difficult at times. Um, but yeah, so making it really, I think I sort of understood it in a really different way after I'd gone through it with something that was really tough, not something easy, something that was tougher.
Yeah, yeah, you make a good point, because it's like the theory of that we could all agree with, can't we? Like, yes, the
Yeah.
thoughts aren't true, and we could think different ones, and the whole thing about like positive mental attitude
Yeah.
and all of that. But that is really the what's so great about coaching, is that we take things and look at really clear examples that often are things that are really important to you at that point. And it's breaking it down and looking at it in detail and seeing it with those thoughts that are really impacting you, and getting it with that level, creating clarity in that issue. That's the thing that makes a difference. And then you can apply that clarity to so many other areas. Yeah, amazing. Is there anything else when we set this up that you thought, I definitely want to mention this, or anything else now that you want to add in before we finish?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's a really strange one for me because in some ways I think coaching didn't change anything. Like I'm still, same person doing the same thing, but at the same time, it sort of changed everything.
Mm.
It's really, yeah, I just found the whole experience really powerful and really, yeah, really special and really important for me. So that's, yeah.
Oh, I'm really glad to hear that. And thank you so much for sharing your experience. It really helps other people to be able to, you can read me going on about it and see me talking about it all over the place, but getting to hear directly from people who've been through the experience is really helpful for other people. So I really appreciate you taking the time. And I just want to celebrate you again for being so open to the coaching in the first place and then using it so effectively as well. So well
Oh,
done. And thank
thank
you
you.
again. All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye for now.